What is going on? It's Alex coming back at you with another video, and today we're doing the New England Patriots 2024 to 2025 NFL Deep Dive. Super excited for this one. Hope you guys are too. If you guys are new to the series, it is going to be a draft class breakdown, a starting roster breakdown, or starting depth chart breakdown, as well as a records prediction. So stay tuned for that. Super excited doing these for all 32 teams, and the records predictions are cumulative, so every single one of these videos matters and explains a lot more as to maybe my thought process initially. So get excited. If you are new, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Always appreciated. These take a lot of work, so it is always appreciated. I do have a full-time job on top of this, so your love always makes it much more enjoyable. So make sure to comment as well. Helps out the algorithm. Also makes it enjoyable for me. So let's talk about this draft. Drake May, first selection. Obviously, you guys need to go after a quarterback. Whether it's him or Daniels, I really wanted May for you guys specifically. Honestly, I kind of like Daniels for Washington as well. Ended up being the way that I really wanted it to be. And the fact is, you guys didn't go after J.J. McCarthy. You guys took the quarterback that has the high ceiling. We've seen his elongated throw motion, like compared to some other quarterbacks, maybe rise some concerns, but you're going to have some growing pains. If you guys saw, it says pain right there. But that means that there's going to be some growing pains. I think Drake May is not going to have a great first year the way that you guys might want him to, but this is somebody that will eventually be a really good quarterback. And, he was my QB4. Call me crazy, but, there's certain things that I factor in with my quarterbacks that I didn't think Drake May did on a consistent level, and that's okay. I mean, you didn't draft a quarterback to be able to win the Super Bowl this year. You drafted a quarterback to actually be able to have a franchise quarterback again. So don't worry about it. It's going to be fine. Jalen Polk to me was a little bit early. I had him around 100 on my board. Drafting him at 37 is a bit early, but he is projected to be the starting left wide receiver at the moment, according to our lads. We'll talk about that in a sec. Caden Wallace was one of my favorite offensive linemen in this past draft, but I wanted him to be a guard so badly. He's projected to be your left tackle, so it's going to be interesting, but Michael Waynu, to be fair, is kind of that guard tackle hybrid that succeeded. We might be able to see some success there with Caden Wallace going to the left side to play a very similar role. 103, you got Leighton Robinson. That was a bit early. I like Leighton Robinson too. I thought it was super high on him. He had over 34.5-inch arms. Dude definitely has upside, but at 103, it was a bit of a reach. He needs a bit more development. But Javon Baker, unbelievable steal there at 110. Could end up being your best receiver. I actually think I had him graded above Jalen Polk, so that's pretty cool. Then we have Marcellus Dial at 180. There were some better corners, in my opinion, that were on the board. Not a bad pick at all, but not great. Joe Milton, I love Joe Milton. I hate to say it, but I really, really like Joe Milton. I think he could actually be an NFL quarterback. Just needs to work on his processing. He wasn't in a system that really allowed him to learn how to process the game very well there with Josh Heupel. So I think he actually might be one of those shockers in the preseason when you end up seeing some crazy deep balls from him that end up giving him enough hype to, hell, if Drake May has some struggles early on, you might allow Joe to be in on some plays where you want those deep shots and, maybe don't want to put Drake May in injury way. Who knows? But then you also got Jaheim Bell in the 7th round. I mean, maybe I would boost this grade to a B+, but it really is Caden Wallace having to be a left tackle, Leighton Robinson way too early, Jalen Polk way too early. That make me a little bit more hesitant against C's average, so that's really, really good grade overall. Good draft class. Now let's talk about the offense. Again, this is projected by our lads. Jacoby Brissett, we're going to go from skill position, offensive line, skill position. You can look at the key in the bottom right that helps you understand why I have different players at different colors. But Jacoby Brissett is the projected starter. I just think Drake May is almost guaranteed to be a starter this year, so got to put him in there. Then running back-wise, Ramondre Stevenson up for a contract this year. But I really like Ramondre Stevenson. He's been super solid. He has been solid since Oklahoma. But I don't really think he is an upper echelon back in the NFL. It is what it is. You have a really good offensive line. Looking at the wide receivers, though, you got Jalen Polk, relatively underwhelming. Demario Douglas, I think he's a very underrated player, so that's pretty sick. And then you have Kendrick Bourne, who I do think might get replaced by Javon Baker. I want to say Jaquan Baker for some reason, but Kendrick Bourne, solid player. I do think Javon Baker, Jesus, is going to be the guy who ends up getting the nod. Then you got Hunter Henry there as well. Of course, backing him up is looking at your 7th round pick here in Jaheim Bell. But looking at the offensive line, you got Chukuma Okorafor listed as a starter right now. As a Steelers fan, I cannot apologize more. I do think that you end up having Caden Wallace start for you this year, but both those guys I just don't really see working as a left tackle. I do think there's a big issue there. Cole Strange, really, really solid interior offensive lineman. I mean, the entire interior offensive line is really, really good. I could have put O-line and then Warshina as a left tackle if I wanted to. But then you also have David Andrews, really solid. Sidney Sow, extremely high upside. Once he got drafted to the Patriots last year, I was like, all right, he's gonna be good. Then you got Michael Waynu. You guys brought him back on a contract. That was sick. Best player in my opinion on your entire offense. But I mean, you have a ton of talent. Shout out to Kayshon Boutte, who was supposed to be the #1 receiver just a little bit over a year ago. I'm talking about defense though. You have a really, really solid defense here. I mean, we're talking about B- and a B. This is really solid, but the NFL has just gotten so good at continuing to bring on more and more talent, which is why we're seeing leagues like the UFL being able to succeed, because they have what would have been really solid NFL talent before not being able to make the NFL anymore. So just got to put that out there as well. But going D-line and on out, Keon White, he was a solid veteran guy that you got in the second round last year. He had a ton of experience, over 24 years old. Veteran in terms of college veteran. And Devon Godshaw, solid. Christian Barmore was deserving of his money. Big fan of your D-line. Jelani Tavai, to me, it's just been always ass. Is what it is. Matt Judon's been fantastic. Obviously, he is the person who should have gotten MVP, but I just love Gonzo. Then Jaquan Bentley, also really, really good linebacker. Looking at the safeties, Jabril Peppers, he's been able to have a really good tenure here in New England. I do think that, without Bill Belichick, things might not be as great. I know it's a similar system, but you can't say that you're going to be able to continue on from Bill Belichick, even with guys who have been playing under Bill Belichick before. Kyle Duggar, solid safety as well. Looking at the corners, Jonathan Jones is up for a contract this year. Certainly do believe they could be in the market to be able to address their boundary corner position in the draft. And then Christian Gonzo, fantastic. Coming off an injury, though, season ending, that could end up putting him back a little bit. And then Marcus Jones, as an SMU fan, or as an SMU alum, I got to see him absolutely destroy my dreams by taking a last-second 110-yard return to the house. So he has my respect. But, I mean, overall, your roster looks really solid. Matt Judon, get that contract ASAP, or else pray to God that you can find something else. But let's get right into the record predictions. Let's get it on. Okay, starting off week 1, we have the New England Patriots going up against the Cincinnati Bengals at home. Jacoby Brissett will give you guys a good chance earlier on to have some more success, but this is going to be a Super Bowl caliber team. The one issue with the Bengals is that they don't have an elite running back core, but they don't have a bad one either, and they have an upgraded offensive line. I think the Bengals are going to be very underrated this year. I think the whole AFC North is unbelievable. Pick number 2, still in mock draft mode. Spot week number 2, Jeepers. I was in, there we go, the rankings predictions video. I haven't done a records prediction in a hot minute. Week number 2, we have the Seahawks going to New England. This is a game where you could end up sneaking out a victory for sure. You do end up seeing some slip-ups on Geno's end. This could be where you have some interceptions going to the house, but I do think that the Seahawks are a super-powered team that deserves more respect than what we give them. At week number 3, you're going to the Jets. Jets, again, Super Bowl caliber team. You're facing 4 Super Bowl caliber teams in the first, or 3 in the first 4 weeks. And this one's a tough game to win. It really is. You have a new offense. You have a new system going in here. So it is what it is. We're going to be going for the Jets right here as they make their final push for the Super Bowl. And the Jets are super talented as well. The Jets are my tied 11th team in the NFL. Then, of course, you're going to the Niners, who are my number 2 team in the NFL. I don't give a shit that you have a mini bye. The Niners are super powered this year. They're way better than they were last year, too, by the way. They really are built to win a Super Bowl right now. Week 5, though, I always go with the home team between this matchup, even though it doesn't really make much sense. I just have faith that the Patriots could end up beating the Dolphins when the Dolphins aren't home. It's just been a case for a long time. Even though you don't have Bill Belichick there, I still have faith that, that you guys can end up pulling that win out of nowhere. Of course, you have another Super Bowl potential caliber team here in the Houston Texans that are coming to town. And the Texans are very, very loaded. They're my number 9 team in the NFL. I'm going to give this one to the Texans. You do end up going to the Jaguars here in week number 7. The Jaguars are a very underrated team. They're the exact same grade as the Jets, by the way. So we'll leave it as is. But you're going to a much more hostile environment here in week number 7. I do think week number 3 technically is easier to win than week number 7. But week number 8, I'll end up having you guys split with the Jets. I don't think that's the right thing to do. But deep down, I think that, you do need to win one of these divisional games. And the Jets are certainly one of those teams where they might still be getting Aaron Rodgers back to full speed. And, Gillette Stadium's Gillette Stadium, man. I'm going to have some love for you guys there. Week number 9, you're going to Nashville. That's a nasty environment with a very, very underrated team. I'm going to give the nod here to the Titans. You're going up against the Bears in week 10, but the Bears are a superpowered team as well. They're my 17th best team in the NFL. I think they actually might edge the win here because you're going to Soldier Field. Week number 11, the Rams are going to your house. But the Rams are so good this year, it doesn't matter whose house they're in. It's always going to be the Rams' house. I have you splitting with the Dolphins, of course, because I think the Dolphins are a superior team. I'm having you upset the Dolphins. Week number 13, you're facing Anthony Richardson, but Anthony Richardson's coming to you. I'm going to end up having you upset Anthony Richardson and the Colts here in week 13. The Colts are a very good roster, but I do see you being able to, maybe if Drake May's starting at this point, being able to have some big shot plays and having a conservative enough defense to take some wins home. Week 15, you're coming off a bye. You're facing Arizona, though. Arizona at home, I do think you could pull out a victory here. Arizona is not going to be super far ahead of you guys. I think they're 24th graded overall. They're a better roster, but I do think coming off a full week of rest playing in a dome, you could certainly have enough preparation to win that game. I do think Buffalo is probably going to sweep you in this series, by the way. I don't think they're going to be resting their starters. I just don't trust the Bills to rest their starters. Also, I think the Chargers are a far superior team. I can't see them resting their starters in week 17. But theoretically, the Bills could end up resting their starters in week 18. Again, this week 18 is so TBD at this point. But we'll have the Bills not doing that. I could sense the Chargers and Chiefs doing it. I don't know if I could sense the Bills being able to rest their starters. So we are 4-13. Technically, that is a lower overall grade or overall record than the guys graded before. But hey, you know what? This is a team that has a super bright future. You have a tough ass schedule. The AFC is a grind. If you're talking about a full range here, because I forgot to do that for my other teams in the AFC West, but I'll do it for you guys. Floor here, I do think, certainly could lose here to the Dolphins, could lose to the Jets as well. I don't know if you'll lose more than that. So I think your floor is 2 wins. But the ceiling, you could end up pulling an early win 2 of the first 3 weeks. Jacoby Brissett has the ability to win those games. So we add 2 wins right there. You could end up beating the Titans. You could end up beating the Bears as well. And then technically the Bills could end up, resting their starters. So I think it's 2 up to, is that 9 wins? Yeah. Is it? I think so. So it's 2-9, but I'm going to be settling at 4. So definitely going to be heavily weighting the bottom there. And again, that's also factoring in the Bills resting their starters. So that's going to be the video. Thank you so much for watching. Showing the love you always do. I love y'all. See you on the far side. Peace.